Hey everybody, welcome to my Cinema Escape on YouTube. I'm your host Izzy. Today's review is based off the 2015 surprise hit that is a sequel slash continuation slash spin-off of the Rocky franchise, directed by Ryan Coogler, Creed, starring Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, Felicia Rashad, and Effie Bello. Now, when this film was announced that it was in production, I was a bit hesitant to the idea simply because I guess I wasn't used to the idea of having a film that is featuring Rocky Balboa, but at the same time it's not focusing on his story. While he is very much centralized to the overall concept of this story, it isn't his story to a degree, if that makes any sense. Now, another thing that I was kind of confused and hesitant about is the character of Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, from Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, that was played by Carl Weathers. I wasn't sure about how they were going to execute this idea simply because I don't believe, at least from my perspective, I wasn't sure of how they were going to make this character such a interesting and unique type of presentation that was ultimately going to allow the audience to connect with him in an emotional fashion. Boy, was I wrong. The film is about the character of Adonis Creed attempted to establish his name while emerging out of the shadows, if you will, of his father Apollo Creed. And he's working his way through the ranks, but at the same time, since he didn't have the guidance of a stable father figure, rather, he is confused, conflicted, abrasive, rebellious, and while at the same time still still very much intelligent, but at the same time trying to find his own way. And that's what this film is really all about, is a sense of self-discovery while attempting to overcome certain obstacles that have been placed in our path. From the very beginning, as I mentioned, it's really about Adonis Creed working his way through the ranks while having Rocky Balboa in the background provide that much needed guidance. And in retrospect, while in Rocky 5, Rocky was the Mickey to Tommy Gunn, in this particular film, Rocky has become Mickey to a degree. And I was immensely surprised when I watched this film on opening night. I was not expecting it to be as grandiose, and when you really think about it from my perspective, I found that it was very much reminiscent, and most likely intentionally reminiscent of the original classic Rocky, where it's about the underdog. It's about simply finding your own path in the world and having to make your own name rather than attempting to recapture something that you know is never going to be attainable to a certain extent. From an acting perspective, I mean, Michael B. Jordan does an amazing job as Adonis Creed, and the fact that he got in such amazing shape. And as I mentioned, the boxing sequences seem very, very realistic still. And while not as brutal and how can I put this? Not as brutal or as lengthy, if you will, as the original Rocky and Rocky 2, it still manages to maintain that sense of bone crunching and just you still feel every single punch that's being thrown. But while nothing's ever going to recapture what the original 2 did, it has that same magical touch that those first 2 films did, where it's still very much inspirational and provides a triumphant feeling. But Michael B. Jordan does an amazing job, and Rocky and Sylvester Stallone, he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in this film, and he really should have he actually should have won the award. I mean, he did a phenomenal job. For a while, there were a lot of people who felt that Sylvester Stallone couldn't act. This film and many films prior to this, but this one specifically, he proved that he has the acting chops. I mean, there was just many moments in the film where he just moved me to tears because it seemed like every bit of dialogue that he was bringing forth, it had a strong sense of reality to it, and it felt like it wasn't him acting. It was simply Sylvester Stallone speaking directly to you, and that to me that's the mark of a great actor in retrospect, whereas it's almost as if they're connecting with you on an emotional level. Tessa Thompson playing Adonis Creed girlfriend, just amazing. She's absolutely spectacularly beautiful and talented, and she does an amazing job as someone who is also attempted to establish herself while overcoming disabilities that she's experiencing. I loved Creed. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. You simply cannot. It's very hard when you look at it from my point of view, because I grew up watching all the Rockies. I mean, from 1 to 5, and it was just something that it was a part of my childhood, and I can remember certain days where I would be attempted to do the one arm push ups and attempting to recreate the training sequences, and to simply have a film of this magnitude still manage to be on par, or even a little, and maybe even a little surpass the magic of the first two. Is just, it really gives you a testament to the talent of the director Ryan Coogler, who many are probably well aware of. He did Fruitvale Station, then Creed, and of course Black Panther. It really just gives you a true taste of how he managed to not tarnish the legacy of the Rocky films, but he still add to it. And Creed does exactly that. I mean, it's very powerful, it's unique, it's triumphant, it's inspirational. It allows you to fully connect with all the characters in this specific universe. And seriously, I cannot recommend it enough. I'm sure there are a lot of people who have already watched this film and have read and listened to all kinds of reviews about it. This is the first review I've done for it on my YouTube, and I just cannot stress enough how much I recommend this film. I mean, I absolutely loved it. If you haven't watched it, you definitely need to get on board and watch it. And I can even view it as a great family film. And there is some violence, there is some profanity here and there, and some sexual innuendos, but at the same time, it's nothing that should deter you from being able to watch it with your kids, because it's not overly graphic. It's nothing that will tarnish them or make them feel as if they're watching something that they know they shouldn't be watching. And I sincerely recommend it. The music is amazing too. The music is very much reminiscent of the classic Rocky soundtracks. From the training sequence of this film also still inspires me. There are days when I've been at the gym and I actually have it on my phone while I'm lifting weights, and just it pumps you up. It never fails to pump you up. And the final boxing sequence with Adonis Creed is just, I will never forget the atmosphere of that moment. And I don't want to get into these spoilers, but I'll just never forget the atmosphere of that moment when he finally where something within him clicks and you just see him rise to the occasion. And I remember the theater just absolutely exploding when that scene happened. And anyone who has watched the film knows exactly what I'm talking about. And the dialogue exchange between Rocky and Adonis is just, man, it still chills up and down my spine whenever I find myself thinking about it, even watching it, certain clips here and there on YouTube, or even when I'm watching the film at home. But other than that, seriously, Creed, amazing film, highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it, do so, please, immediately, whenever. If you have watched it, please let me know what you thought about it. Let me know in my comment section on my Facebook what you thought about it. Provide a like. And that is my review of Creed, and I hope you guys continue to remain safe and stay healthy, and you'll be hearing from me again. Take care, and peace out.